Apple's iPhone lineup will be seeing some dramatic changes this year, with the iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max rumored to be getting this crazy new camera bump design. The iPhone 17 Plus will be discontinued, replaced by an ultra-thin iPhone 17 Air, and the iPhone 17 will be, well, that one is basically staying exactly the same. Of all these new iPhones, I'm definitely most intrigued by the iPhone 17 Air. So much so that I bought a mock-up model and 3D printed it. And in this video, I'll be giving you a hands-on look at my 3D printed model, and then I'll share all the rumored features coming to this phone and which ones will be missing. So I actually printed out several different models, firstly because I was having some trouble getting it to print properly, but secondly because there's been several conflicting rumors about what this device will actually look like. A lot of them have suggested this phone will have a 6.6 or 6.7 inch display, making it larger than the standard iPhone 16 and 16 Pro, but smaller than the 16 Pro Max. Now we're starting to hear new rumors that the iPhone 17 Air will be the exact same size as the Pro Max, with the only difference being how thin it is. Now, if that turns out to be true, it could still technically have a smaller screen, just with larger bezels. Then there's varying guesses to exactly how thin the phone will be. The predictions range anywhere between 5mm to a little over 6mm. All of these would make this the thinnest iPhone Apple has ever made, with the iPhone 6 currently holding the title at 6.9mm. In order to be Apple's thinnest product ever, it would have to come in exactly at that 5mm size, as the current title belongs to the 5.1mm iPad Pro. But I suspect Apple cares more about the world's thinnest smartphone title.
As a matter of fact, it is the thinnest smartphone on the planet.
And best of all, it's the world's thinnest smartphone,
which currently belongs to the TechnoSpark Slim, measuring just 5.75mm. One thing I was very curious about when I first saw what this design looked like was whether or not the camera bar would solve the dreaded table wobble. And unfortunately it doesn't. It's not nearly as extreme, but the phone itself is still resting on the camera lens, causing it to wobble a little bit. Being a Pro Max user myself, I've got to admit I do prefer the larger size, but if Apple is trying to make this phone as appealing as possible to as many people as possible, I do think the 6.6 inch screen size may be the sweet spot. While we don't know what the actual screen size will be yet, we do expect it to use the same OLED display currently found in the Pro models. This also means 120Hz refresh rates with ProMotion will be coming to the iPhone 17 Air, although some rumors have suggested Apple may not bring the always-on capability, which would be pretty lame, so please don't do that, Apple. There's actually quite a few features we're hearing may be missing from this phone, but before I address those, let's talk about what surprisingly won't be compromised: the battery life. You may assume because of the thinner size, battery life has to suffer as a consequence, but there's several things Apple has done to rectify this. First, recent rumors are suggesting Apple will be using a new higher density battery in this device, which means even if the physical size is smaller, it should still have the same or possibly even better battery life than the thicker iPhone models. The next reason has to do with the strides Apple has made in producing their own silicon. But this time, it's not just the A19 chip, it's the brand new Apple-designed C1 modem. The C1 just made its debut in the iPhone 16e, which has the longest battery life ever in a 6.1 inch iPhone. In addition to the 5G modem, rumors are suggesting Apple's first custom-designed Wi-Fi chip will be debuting in every iPhone 17 model, which should provide both better connectivity and even better power efficiency. Now, the final reason why we can expect better battery life than originally thought is also the first major compromise. As you've already noticed, there's only a single camera on the back of this device, but by removing that ultra-wide camera, that opens up more internal space for a larger battery, which we've already seen when comparing the iPhone 16 with the iPhone 16e. The lens on the back of the device is rumored to be a 48 megapixel main camera, the same one found across the iPhone lineup, which means it'll have that 2x optical zoom capability. However, by losing the ultra-wide camera, you're potentially losing a lot of camera features. I can't say if every camera feature missing in the iPhone 16e will also be missing in the 17 Air, but if that's the case, that means no ultra-wide angle, no macro photography, no spatial photos or videos, no action video mode, no cinematic video mode, no next-gen portrait mode, and no next-gen photographic styles. So we'll have to wait and see if that's the case, or if there will be any advancements in computational photography that bring some of those features back. On the flip side, the front-facing camera is rumored to be seeing an upgrade from 12 megapixels to 24 megapixels, providing even higher resolution selfies. What else is missing from this phone. Very likely no physical SIM card tray. This isn't a surprise for Americans since iPhones have been eSIM only since the iPhone 14, but it looks like Apple will be removing the physical SIM slot in even more countries this year, and because of how thin the 17 Air is, it may end up being an exclusively eSIM model. The next rumored missing feature is no speaker on the bottom of the phone. There will still be one in the earpiece, but you'll be losing the stereo sound experience that has been around since the iPhone 11. One last feature that could be missing, as we just saw with the iPhone 16e, is MagSafe. Given how thin this device is, I wouldn't be too surprised if it ended up having wireless charging but no MagSafe. I'd be disappointed, but not too surprised. So why does this iPhone even need to exist? Well, first of all, the Plus models haven't been selling nearly as well as Apple had hoped, just as the Mini before it also had lackluster sales. So sliding a distinctly unique model into this spot could help better balance out the entire lineup. This phone also marks a bit of a return to Apple's design roots. When Steve Jobs was at the helm, he obsessed over making devices as thin and light and elegant as possible. A lot of customers, though, didn't care about thinness as much as Apple did, especially once they started bending, and instead started requesting for thicker iPhones if it meant better battery life and more advanced technology could be packed inside. And that's primarily what Apple has been doing under Tim Cook. But now that the smartphone has largely matured, Apple needs to start exploring new ways to innovate again. So I believe the iPhone 17 Air isn't just about pursuing the world's thinnest smartphone title, it's actually laying the groundwork for their future foldable iPhones. Foldables like the Oppo Find N5 are only 8.9mm when folded and 4.2mm when unfolded. So by making an ultra slim smartphone like this, Apple will be able to apply all that they've learned into their future foldable iPhones. So how much will it cost? When rumors first started coming out, they were suggesting an ultra premium price tag of around $1,300, which is pretty insane given how many features could be missing from this phone. But as we've learned more about it, and given that it's sliding into the 17 Plus's spot, I could see it starting as low as $899. However, I am bracing for some potential price increases across the lineup this year. Apple has been pretty sneaky about how they do price increases recently. Take, for example, the $100 price jump from the iPhone 14 Pro Max to the iPhone 15 Pro Max.
The iPhone 15 Pro will start at the same price as last year, $999. An iPhone 15 Pro Max will start at $1199 with 256 gigabytes of storage, which also matches last year's price with this level of storage.
Apple tried to justify this price increase by saying they didn't technically increase the price, they just got rid of the 128 gigabyte storage option. I could see them getting rid of the 128 gigabyte storage options across the iPhone lineup, which would make the iPhone 17 Air start at $999. Now, I want to hear from all of you. Are you interested in a super thin iPhone like this? The debate about whether or not iPhones have gotten too thin has been over for a little while now, but have iPhones gotten too big is still very relevant, and I tackle it in this video right here. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for even more videos like this. I'm Nick Bradley. Thank you so much for watching.